Hey guys, our new chapter here is going to be probability. I'll have a nice introduction to probability today. For obvious reasons, this is a chapter I really like, being the statistics teacher. So let's get started. So how do we determine probabilities? Well, the definition of a probability of an event occurring can be used following this right here. The probability of any event is the number of favorable outcomes, what you're looking to happen, over the total number of outcomes, right? And the easiest way to think about this, think of like flipping a coin. What is the probability of getting heads? And we know that there is one way to get heads out of two possible outcomes. Now, probability can be expressed as a fraction, as a decimal, or as a percent, right? We up there just represented the probability of getting heads as 1/2, but the probability of getting heads can also be 0.5, and you could also write it as, and you can convert 0.5 to a percent, 50%, right? In statistics, we really like to use percent when we're having discussion, but in math, we know we can't work with percents, so we like to use fractions or decimals. Now, the probability something will absolutely must happen is certain, right? The probability is 1. For something that is impossible to happen, it's 0. For example, what is the probability of rolling a die, a 6-sided die, and rolling an 8? Well, there's no 8, so that's 0, right? What's the probability of flipping a coin and getting heads or tails? Well, it's the only option, 1. And I know I always have some smart kid who says, "Oh, what if it lands on its side?" No, that doesn't matter. So there you go, 1. Okay, so let's look at some examples. Mary chooses an integer at random from 1 to 6. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What is the probability that the integer she chooses is a prime number? Prime number only divisible by itself and 1. 5, 3, 2, and 1. That's 4 out of 6. Now, don't be lazy here because notation is important here. The probability of getting a prime number equals 4 through 6, which, could we write that different ways? Sure. You can simplify that to 2/3. You can write it as 0.6 repeating, or you can write it as 66.6 repeating percent. All those are equivalent. For this case, as you know in math, if something is a repeating decimal, what's our preferred method? Right there, fraction. Number 2, 3 high school juniors, Reese, Matt, and Chris, are running for student council president. A survey is taken a week before the election asking 40 students which candidate they will vote for in the election. The results are shown in the table below. Based on the table, what is the probability that a student will vote for Reese? Express your answer as a fraction and a decimal. So what is the probability that they will vote for Reese? Well, let's see. 15 people out of 40. There you go. Now, it doesn't tell us to simplify it. You always can, but you don't have to. 15 out of 40 is fine. In fact, sometimes you don't want to simplify it because this tells a better story. This tells us there are 40 total people. Now, what is that as a decimal? Let's take your calculator and let's find out what 15 out of 40 is. 0.375. So probability they'll vote for Reese, 0.375. A bag contains 8 green marbles, 5 white marbles, and 2 red marbles. What is the probability of getting a red marble? Probability of getting a red marble. Well, we have 8 and 5 is 13 and 2 is 15. So there are 15 total marbles. How many ways are there to get a red? Well, there are 2 red. Right? Good. Now, 2 out of 15, sometimes a little tough. Like I said, we use percentages when we're discussing probability because it's easy for us to understand that. It's about 13.3%. 4, Casey purchased a pack of assorted flower seeds and planted them in her garden. When the first 25 flowers bloomed, 11 were white, 5 were red, 3 were blue, and the rest were yellow. Find the probability that a flower that blooms was yellow. So the probability of yellow flower. Well, how many total flowers were there? 25. How many were yellow? Well, you had 11 white, 5 red, that's 16, 19, which means 6 were yellow. 6 out of 25, or about 24%. Or 0.24. Okay. Now, what about the probability of an event not occurring? So, if you go back to this problem here, the probability of getting a yellow flower was 24%. Well, then what's the probability of not getting a yellow flower? Well, that's 100% minus 24% is 76%. So the probability of an event not occurring is 1 minus the probability of an event occurring. An event can either occur or it doesn't. There's no other options. So 5, find the probability, if the probability that it will rain on Thursday is 5 over 6, what is the probability that it will not rain on Thursday? Well, what's 1 minus 5/6? Or 6 over 6 minus 5 over 6, 1/6. So the probability of, and this is a notation we use, and you, other teachers in Algebra 2 might not use it, I'm not sure, but not, it's a little tilde, not rain. The probability it will not rain. You could write the word not rain as well, but I like to use the little notation there. It'll help you in stats one day. 1/6. Okay, one more problem. A gumball machine contains gumballs that are 5 different colors, 36 red, 44 white, 15 blue, 20 green, and 5 orange. The machine dispenser randomly selects one gumball. What is the probability that the selected gumball is green? Well, first off, we got to find out how many total gumballs there are in this machine. They don't tell us, so they don't really save us time, but we can add these together. It's not hard. We get 36 plus the 44 white plus the 15 blue plus the 20 green and the 5 orange. There are 120 total marbles. So what is the probability that one will be green? Probability of green. Well, out of 120, how many are green? 20. You could reduce that if you wanted to 1/6, which is 0.16 repeating. Not green. Well, not green, how many are green? 20 are green. So if 20 are green, that means how many different ones are not green? The probability of not green, 100 out of 120, which is 5/6. What about not orange? Well, 5 are orange, so it's very rare to get an orange, but the probability of not getting an orange, well, what's 120 minus 5? That's 115 are not orange. So the probability not orange, 115 out of 120. About 23 over 24. What about not a color in the flag of the U.S.? Well, what's the colors in the flag? Red, white, blue. So how many of these are not red, white, or blue? So red, white, blue, green, and orange. 25. 25 out of 120 is the probability not a color in the flag. Cool. All right, guys, try the homework sheet as well, and talk to you soon.